Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I'm going to show you this morning is some more excerpts from MSDNC, all around the Rahimi case, all around what it really means, because they tell you exactly what they're concerned about, exactly what they want, and they showcase the entire thing. It's about Bruen and red flag laws in the future. We've already covered a lot of that on the actual litigation and the actual opinions, but now what I want to show you is the actual MSDNC reaction, where they openly tell you a bunch of propaganda and then show you where they want to go. Everything is linked in the description box below. Can't wait to hear what you guys think, and of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on if you want to spread that freedom from this generation to the next, and thank you for that consideration. All right, beautiful people. You have to understand when you're analyzing the political media, the gun controlling media, they're all oriented towards taking your gun rights away. There is no gun control law that they don't like. But when they're covering something like this, there's a lot more of the story in what they're saying and how they're covering it versus what actually happened. You got to dive into the why. All right, I got 3 clips for you, and I want you to pick out a few things specifically from while they're working through this. This is on live MSDNC. All right, check this out.
What stands out is that the Supreme Court is saying here that if you are found in violation of a domestic violence law, that you can't have temporarily your rights to guns be taken away from you. And that's really important in this case because the government was essentially arguing that if you are someone who's a threat to someone and been found to credibly have violated laws, that you should not be allowed to have guns. I also think it's important to put this into context. It was in 2022 that the Supreme Court for the first time found that you have a right to bear arms outside of your house, which meant that there were a lot of questions about whether or not other kinds of laws that were restricting people's access to guns related to domestic violence, related to other sort of breaking laws, whether or not those laws would be in some ways come into question here. And the Supreme Court here is standing on that and saying absolutely, in this case, domestic abuse violators have the ability to get their guns taken away.
In this case, okay, understand, what she was just referring to, and she introduced connecting to the Rahimi case, because there's no reason you would connect this unless you had an ulterior motive. She connects the Rahimi verdict or the opinion directly to the Bruen decision from 2 years ago. There was a lot of questions on what gun laws will survive and what won't. That is forecasting exactly what the left was hoping out of this decision. They were hoping that you would be able to say, well, the Bruen decision was too far reaching, and we really need to bring that back, and maybe a few elements to really provide clarity to the lower courts. That's what they wanted, and she even brought it up, the idea that, well, the Bruen decision has had a little more clarity to the idea of what can be taken away and what can uphold and all these kind of things. Now, I'm not going to parse the words from domestic violence accused or domestic violence convicted, because there is a very important dichotomy there. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to show you what they're saying. So far, she introduced the Bruen decision, and she kind of plugged the idea that there were questions about clarity and what can we do, and in this case, the SCOTUS. Now, this next one, she's trying to build up the actual Rahimi case and the numbers on the count of 8-1. Keep in mind how many rulings came out against the Biden administration and all their tyrannical edicts, 9-0, and they didn't say a peep about what they're about to say. Check this out. This is all factoring in.
Point out that this is an 8-1 decision. We talk a lot about the fact that this is a 6-3 conservative majority court, but here you're seeing a decision that's written by Chief Justice Roberts, and and the liberals and conservatives, other than Justice Clarence Thomas, are all finding that they agree on this issue. So it is, I think, striking to see sort of this split, a split that we don't often see, which is an 8-1 split. I think it's important to note that.
You know, it's really important because, after all, liberals and conservatives did both go against this ruling. So, I mean, like, really, it does make sense. And 8-1's very rare, except when you get 9-0 against the Biden administration like every other Tuesday. But we don't talk about that then. No. This is about gun control. So 8-1's a really landmark decision, with the outlier being Clarence Thomas. You understand what she's done so far, and we're going to go to the third part here in a second. This ties it all together. But so far, she's gone into the Bruen decision and the clarifying of the Bruen decision, which never happened because that was not what they said. It was narrow in scope. We covered that. And then she goes into how impactful it is. It's an 8-1 decision, again, ignoring all the 9-0 decisions that the Biden administration has lost. But now, we're going to get some red flag law language in here. And again, this will always show you what their true intentions are. Don't listen to what they're saying. Don't listen to what they're covering. Listen to what they're saying about what they're covering. Check this out. Last piece. This is where red flag laws makes a grand appearance.
A striking decision given the fact that with this conservative majority court, you had some, especially gun rights activists, who were saying, well, maybe this court will be a court that's going to be more sympathetic to Rahimi's claims here, and that they're going to go against him and go with him rather, and say that he should have access to his guns. I also want to just point out that during oral arguments, there's a lot of questions about history and traditions, whether or not, because in the past and historically, you haven't had laws, I guess dating back to the beginning of this country, where people were not having access to their guns because of violating domestic violence laws. And this is a court that's in some ways really been seen as wanting to go to the original sort of definitions of the Constitution. But here's a Supreme Court saying, well, you know what, there are times where people need to temporarily lose access to their firearms. So I think it is striking if you think about the context of this and the history of this court.
Right there. She did two things that were really important. The first thing that she did was she made a plug at the fact that maybe they're not originalist. Maybe they're progressive. Okay. Obviously not in the light of all the cases that they've chosen and ruled on. But the other thing that I want to throw here is they've ruled, even though they tend to be originalist, they've ruled that you can take your guns away temporarily, and it's perfectly constitutional. They are laying the groundwork for red flag laws an hour after the decision came out. This is a really big deal because think about who they're talking to. MSDNC only talks to liberals. They don't talk to the middle. They don't talk to conservatives or Republicans. They talk to the left. So if you're talking to the left and that is your determined audience, why would you do those types of things in that style of delivery? Because they are trying to say red flag laws are something we're going to keep going because the court said temporarily you can disarm people. And after all, it is an originalist court, and even they agree. And it was 8-1. And in light of the Bruen decision, we needed some more clarifying context. All of this stuff. Guys, nothing happens in a vacuum. Nothing is random, and I hope I landed that plane. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.